Hi everyone, it's Eileen Burns here from the Spiritual Marketing Club. Now, in today's video, I wanted to talk about why it's important to know the difference between different social media platforms. Okay, now, one of the advantages that we do have today is there is so many different social media platforms that we can use for our business, and we can use for our business absolutely free. But the reality is that when you are building a business, when you are building a marketing campaign and a marketing plan, okay, it's really important to know what social media platforms are going to be suitable for your business. And the first thing you've got to consider is that where your ideal clients, your ideal audience, your ideal tribe actually hang out, and is it where they're going to actually convert with you. Okay, so over the years, social media has changed a lot, okay? And one of the things that we've recently seen in the spiritual and the holistic industry is some of the main social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, even things like YouTube, and even search engines like Google, a lot of holistic and spiritual businesses that are, how could you say, have a certain beliefs or certain views are actually receiving a lot of censorship, okay? So one of the things that I started to see, a few years ago, and it seems to have accelerated, was that many holistic articles, even written by the British Medical Journal and other scientific articles, were actually sometimes getting viewed on Facebook and actually classed as fake news or not facts, okay, when it was actually maybe medical research or scientific evidence, okay? And this video is not all about what's going on with censorship or anything like that, but why I'm mentioning it is that at the moment, a lot of businesses are having to relook at how they market their business and actually where they market their business. Some businesses have lost their pages, their groups, and all sorts of things, and they're having to start from scratch, okay? And a lot of people are thinking, how do I grow my business, and how do I do it in the most effective way? Well, one of the things other than social media, I'm going to say right away, I believe that all of you, if you possibly can, should have a website, because it means then if social media changes and the big platforms that you have previously relied on, if something happens, you know that your website, if you pay for the hosting space, you own the hosting space, you own the website, the domains, etc., that no one can take that off you, okay? And that's something you've started to build up. So that's the first thing I'm going to say. But going back to why it's really important to know the difference between these social media platforms, okay? So I'm going to talk about, first of all, LinkedIn. And when we look at LinkedIn, basically LinkedIn was first created as mostly a, how could you say, a profile for white collar and blue collar professionals to use. It was a place for people to actually find people to share jobs, to find career posts, that kind of thing. And it has slightly changed, but it's still very much a business or a sort of corporate kind of working platform in many ways, okay? And if you approach LinkedIn as if it's Facebook, you could run into a lot of problems, because LinkedIn is designed to showcase your areas of expertise, your qualifications, maybe projects you've worked in, your CV, and that is why it's a predominantly professional audience, okay? Now, a lot more healers, holistic and spiritual businesses are moving and maximizing LinkedIn, But many people are still treating it as if it's Facebook, as if it's somewhere that you can almost share a personal diary. But the reality is, it's a place where there's a certain expectation or recommendations, I suppose that's maybe better to say, that you are more acting like a professional. It's not about sharing lots of being over personal about things. It's not like Facebook where you start tagging in your dog, tagging in what you've had for breakfast, that type of thing. And this is why it's really important when you know what each platform, actually the purpose, what the platform has been designed for, how you can maximize the use of that platform for your business and follow what is recommended etiquette. Okay, now it's like everything. If you understand the basis behind it, why it was created, and even in the direction it's going and what people use it for, then you know how to use it appropriately. If you start using it inappropriately, you can actually repel your audience. Okay, and if you had a holistic or spiritual business owner, right, the reality is, no matter if we like it or not, people expect us to act in a certain way. They are wanting to feel that genuine commitment, that genuine sort of, how could you say, know that you're genuinely interested in your audience, okay, right? But there is quite a few things that you have to be, and I'm trying to, in many ways, be careful about what I'm saying here, because you know, we are all here to do what we think's right? But if you approach LinkedIn and you, for example, which I see so much, is just inbox people, but when you're inboxing them and you're connecting with them, you're actually, your first connection is trying to promote something or sell something. What you've done is basically you've jumped the, how could you say, what we call the nurturing process that is part of any marketing or business, it's a business process. Many healers and small businesses and holistic, businesses, particularly newbies, sometimes don't realize that what they may be doing is come across very pushy, salesy, and maybe, how could you see, the word is to explain, as being invasive, right? So LinkedIn is not maybe the top example of that, because LinkedIn does encourage personal connection. It's not like being in your personal Facebook inbox. But one of the things I'm going to share, for example, every day I get at least 5 to 10 people who want to connect with me, but most of them are actually using aggressive sales tactics, or including in the first connection a big thing about them, and it's not actually about me. So they are connecting with me and trying to sell me something, trying to get me to sign up for something or look at their website or do that. And actually, they've not yet built up a connection with me to see if I am actually their ideal client. Okay. And so what they're trying to do is push the sale, right? And so on the surface, it appears they're not really interested. They're just interested in promoting what they do, right? Now, if you ask most holistic and spiritual business owners, for starters, most don't like that approach done for themselves. They do not like to be inundated by people in their inbox. I mean, I get it every day with Facebook as well. I get it in lots of my platforms, and it gets very exhausting. And I actually, the amount of hours that I have to go through or actually ignore is just unbelievable, because I can't keep up with this sort of, how can you say, it's cold sales, basically. It's cold sales, right? But the reality is, when you understand what LinkedIn is, for example, right? So if you understand that LinkedIn is a professional place, and it's a place that is showcase the best way that you can showcase what you do is by sharing information, sharing educational blogs and vlogs, and being of service on LinkedIn and using LinkedIn for what is, where it's a place of sharing expertise, right? Okay, so that's what it is. It's about sharing educational information. Okay, so it's not like Facebook, it's different dynamics. If you look at Facebook is very much about where if you look at LinkedIn, it's more like a professional connection, a place to network and connect, right? But it's not about connecting with family and friends. That's not what it's like. So it's not the same social aspect. If you look at Facebook is about funny things, like about entertainment. It's about media. It's engaging. It's getting known when someone's birthday is, when this is, it's about sharing celebrations. It's about, so there's a bit of inspiring people and entertaining them. There's a bit of education and all that. So there's different approaches, okay? So if you use the approach that you use in Facebook on LinkedIn, and it also overuse, I'm seeing a lot of people putting the same amount of posts that they would put, or even more than what they would put on Facebook and LinkedIn, and then they don't get any engagement and people switch off. Now, I'll be honest, I don't maximize the use of LinkedIn for a lot of reasons. I just don't have the time, right? I'm on a lot of different platforms. But, if you go on and you're sharing a lot of what class as maybe superficial things, or things that is not, how could you say, what that audiences want, they're going to switch off, right? And you can actually repel them, okay? You can put them off because it's too much, right? Now, if you look at Facebook, okay, Facebook, there is a lot more engagement, but again, Facebook takes a different, it's a different angle again. But again, if you're a business owner and you're actually contacting people in their inboxes, that is cold sales. Now, I do not like getting cold sales in my personal inbox. My personal inbox is for my family and friends. It's a personal thing, right? And it's different when I've made a connection with the business, someone I know, and there is some sort of collaboration. But every day I get inundated with messages, people trying to sell me something, are asking me to join their group, asking me to review their book, asking me to do this, asking me to do that. And it's just not the best way to ever build or grow a business, because what you're demonstrating by doing that is that you are not interested in that person. You're only interested in promoting your business, right? Okay. Now, just because I've been in the industry a long time doesn't mean that I have it all easy. I have, challenges just like every other business owner, and I've had to work really hard, spend a lot of marketing, had to make lots of mistakes just like you, right? I'm also someone that is disabled. I have a lot of challenges that some things take me a lot longer to do than others, and some things don't. Some things I'm really good at. But the reality is every single one of us in our business have different strengths and weaknesses, okay? And it's just like that in your social media. Different social media platforms have strengths and weaknesses, and some are going to be useful for your type of business and some are not. Some you're better using a certain strategy, another are not. Now, also going back to any type of social media platform is what I talked about at the beginning. If you do not know your ideal client, right, you're going to find it really hard to choose what social media platform is best for you and your audience. And again, many people make big mistakes with their ideal audience. So I had a situation recently where someone assumed I was their ideal client, and I probably didn't deal with it the right way. I tried to respond to say something, but I'll be honest, I was tired and I probably didn't see what I was meaning clearly, and the person took it as an offence. And I was trying to say that their marketing approach could be they could use a better approach and they would actually get better results, right? But the reality was, this was someone who had a site with inspirational posts and things like that, which is great, you know, that's fantastic. But I don't have the time, you know, and I think she wanted to sign up for a newsletter or join something or whatever. And the reality is I just don't have the time to do that, and it's not one of my priorities, right? And the reality also, for example, is that because I've been in the industry a long time, I know lots and lots of people. So every single day, I don't only just get requests from people I don't know, I get also requests from other people. And I also like to, when I can, support my clients, people that, you know, maybe invest a lot of money or spending time. I try and do what I can. But even a lot of them, I can't possibly support everyone. I couldn't possibly. So I can't share everybody's stuff. I cannot check. There is not enough hours in the day. And I could easily spend all my time doing that, right? Now, the reality is that then I'm not your ideal client. So if I don't have the time and what you're offering is not my biggest priority, I'm not your ideal client. So, and it's not anything personal, because I think when I try and say that to people, people take it very personally, right? And I'll give you other examples. So for example, I am actually a nail yards consultant, and I'm also a Tropic, right? But I have not really promoted Tropic, and recently I've hardly promoted nail yards, because half the time, again, it's time, right? But the reality is, if someone else was selling Tropic or nail yards, am I their ideal client? No, of course not, because I already sell that, right? So there's an example, right? I may love the products, love what they do, but I'm not their ideal client. Another example is where someone may offer certain types of healing or therapies, and I think that's great, but they may not be local or as experienced, or for a lot of reasons I might not go. I may think they're amazing, but that doesn't mean. So if I know thousands of healers, coaches and therapists, I've got a lot bigger choice, right? So again, it's not personal. And this is the reality. A lot of people are using social media, and they're thinking just numbers to get people to like their pages, join their groups, to look at their website, sign up to their newsletter, but they're not actually focusing on who actually will buy, who are actually going to invest in their products, okay? So this is where you really need to really get much closer and really understand ideal clients. This is where I think a lot of people are really still misunderstanding the ideal client. Now, I talk about soul clients, and that's where you take it a step further. So once you know who your ideal clients, you tend to know then what platforms, because you probably know things about their age, the challenges they have. You may know things about the times of day they may be on social media, what things they're interested in, what things they'll not be interested in, where they may hang out and where they may not hang out. Okay, so you have to understand that. An example again, so if your audience is spiritual entrepreneurs, right? The hard sales approach, believe me, most healers and spiritual businesses hate the hard sell approach because they do not use that approach themselves. Most of them hate inauthentic marketing and like that type of selling. So again, you have to choose platforms and marketing approach that's going to fit that audience, if that was your audience. If you have an audience that have very serious chronic health challenges that may be serious, you may have to, again, choose a marketing approach that is going to be educational and demonstrate all the things that that type of client really wants to know and be assured, right? So that's why it's really, really important. So let's look at different platforms. Okay, so let's look at things like Pinterest. Pinterest is the type of platform that is great to, if you're a blogger, okay, and you want to build more, you build your SEO up and get more traffic. Okay, so Pinterest is very good. It's also good for if your audience may be predominantly female who are creative, okay, who enjoy visual things like that, who spend time on Pinterest. Okay, so there's an example, right? Twitter. Twitter for many years actually was one of my biggest sources of clients, or even when I had groups, right? At the moment it's not, for a variety of reasons, but Twitter is somewhere where, even though it's slightly changed, you can still share a lot more information because it's fast feeds of information, quick, fast information. You can, it's like short, bite-sized information and tweets of certain things. So you can share blogs, events, that type of things, offers. So that, again, it's a certain type of person, certain type of age, and you can look all these things up to know the demographics of age, sex, income, what else, lifestyle, of these kind of things, interests, right? So these are examples. Now, we've also got things like TikTok, we've got Instagram, right? So Instagram, again, can be certain audiences. It can be certain people who like a lot of visuals, who like to buy a lot of products, or, you know, one of my clients are someone who has beautiful artists, you know, she's an artist. So these kind of things sell well on Instagram. There can be some spiritual teachers and healers and things like that can get some certain types of age on Instagram, but Instagram, there's a mixed view on Instagram of what actually converts into sales. You may get lots of views on Instagram, but sometimes it doesn't always convert into sales. So it's really important to know, again, Instagram requires a certain amount of you showing up and doing photographs and imagery. I don't use Instagram to the max because, again, I have disabilities in it. So it's not just about my audience. I like to post things for my spiritual marketing club, but it's not always practical because I've got to use software. I can't just log on my phone because I've got fine motor skill issues. So for me, it's to do with practicality, and it's not always ideal unless someone else is doing it for me, okay? Now, I could list a whole long list of different social media platforms, but the key here is you always have to know your audience. You then have to study and understand the social media platform you're using. And don't just follow what other people or you think they're actually doing, right? Because many people on many social media platforms are actually not using the platform effectively. They're, again, just copying someone else, or what actually they're doing is they're just following someone else who doesn't really understand Facebook and has just come up with their own theory. Okay, so they've not really studied these things. The key here is understanding the psychology behind the platform. Okay, and this is really important. And once you start to understand the psychology and why people would want it, who would want it, and what they're on for it, then you understand what kind of things they would be interested in. Okay, now if there are any is who are interested in more tips on actually how to use Facebook more effectively, I have a free ebook, 33 Facebook tips it's for healers, coaches, and spiritual businesses, and you will get that on my website, spiritualmarketingclub.com, and you can check out all the different free resources there. And if you need any help with your marketing or taking your business, your spiritual business, you know, up a level, feel free to book a free 30-minute discovery session so we can explore that more. So have a wonderful day. Bye for now.